Okay, let's talk about BlackRock. One of the biggest names in finance, just dropped a Bitcoin product right on the London Stock Exchange. Now, this is a huge deal for any investor in the UK. So, what is this new product really? And what does it mean if you've been a little bit curious about crypto? Let's break it all down. For the longest time, if you wanted to get into Bitcoin, you had to figure out crypto exchanges, digital wallets, all that tech stuff. Well, now you can do it through your normal, traditional trading account. So this sounds great, right? Super simple, but it brings up one massive question. Is this actually a safe way to invest? All right, first up, what exactly just landed on the London Stock Exchange? Because this isn't just another crypto product. It's a huge signal coming straight from the heart of traditional finance. Yep, that's right. BlackRock, one of the world's largest asset managers, has officially listed its iShares Bitcoin ETP. The ticker is IB1T. What this means is that getting exposure to Bitcoin could now be as simple as buying a share in any other company you're familiar with. And this is where things can get a little confusing, right? The crypto world is just this alphabet soup of acronyms: ETP, ETF, ETN. So figuring out what this product actually is, that's the first and most important step to deciding if it's right for you. And if you're wondering why this is such a huge deal, just look at what BlackRock has already pulled off in the US. Their American Bitcoin product has raked in over $85 billion. I mean, that is a staggering amount of money, and it just shows you the massive demand from investors. It's also why their arrival in the UK market is a total game changer. But here's the thing, this launch wasn't always possible. In fact, for years, UK regulators had a flat-out ban on products like this for everyday investors. So what on earth changed? You can see just how incredibly fast things moved. For 4 whole years, these products were completely off limits. Then, bam, on October 9th, the UK's financial regulator, the FCA, suddenly lifts the ban. And less than 2 weeks later, BlackRock is live. I mean, that is a massive policy U-turn in a very, very short space of time. So why the sudden change of heart? Well, according to the FCA itself, it's pretty simple. They think the crypto market has grown up. They see it as more mature, better understood, and, in their view, that makes it safer for you and me to get access. So this regulatory shift really opened the floodgates. But if you look online, you'll find a ton of warnings. And it all boils down to the difference between these product types. Let's clear up that confusion right now. This comment from a UK investing forum on Reddit, it really hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures this core fear that's out there, this real anxiety that some of these new products are just IOUs, not backed by anything real, and that creates a huge risk for investors. And this slide gets right to the heart of that fear. On one hand, you have a physically backed ETP. That means for every single share you buy, the company, like BlackRock, goes out and buys and holds the exact same amount of actual Bitcoin. On the other hand, an unbacked ETN is basically a debt product. It's a promise from a bank to pay you Bitcoin's return, but it carries that counterparty risk. What if they can't pay up? So where does the BlackRock product fit into all this? Well, let's be crystal clear. The official documents state that it is 100% physically backed. They use the well-known crypto exchange Coinbase to hold the actual Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is secured in offline cold storage, which means it's disconnected from the internet and safe from hackers. So to put it simply, this is not an IOU. It's a direct claim on real Bitcoin. Okay, so we've established it's backed by real Bitcoin, but how do they actually keep it safe? The process here is absolutely key because it builds the secure chain of custody for your investment. You know, the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think about gold. Buying this ETP is like getting a certified deed to a gold bar that's being held for you in a super high security vault. You own the value of the gold, but you don't have the headache and the very real risk of storing a heavy, valuable bar of gold under your own bed. So this digital vault works in 4 really clear steps. First, you buy shares through your normal broker. Then, BlackRock takes that money and buys real Bitcoin. After that, the custodian, Coinbase, takes possession of it. And this is the crucial part. By the end of each day, that Bitcoin is moved into segregated offline wallets, protecting it from any online threats. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. What are the key takeaways here? Why should a UK investor who's even just a little curious about crypto pay attention to this specific launch? Well, the benefits are pretty straightforward. You get access to Bitcoin within a regulated system you already know and trust. You don't have to worry about the really technical stuff like managing complicated private keys or setting up a special crypto wallet. And that huge responsibility of keeping the asset safe, that's handed over to giants like BlackRock and Coinbase. It's just a much simpler on-ramp. So you might be thinking, well, how much should I even consider investing? What's interesting is that BlackRock's own research institute suggests a pretty small allocation. Somewhere around 1 to 2% can be a reasonable part of a diversified portfolio, as long as you're comfortable with the risk, of course. But honestly, this is about way more than just Bitcoin. The CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, he sees this as the first step in a much bigger revolution for finance. He believes the future is something called tokenization, basically turning traditional assets like stocks, bonds, even real estate into digital tokens on a blockchain. This Bitcoin ETP is really just an early taste of that future. Which leaves us with this one big, fascinating question. If you can now buy a token that represents Bitcoin on the London Stock Exchange, what comes next? Could we one day be trading tokens that represent a tiny fraction of a London flat or a share in a private company just as easily? This launch might be more than just a new product. It could be a real glimpse into the future of investing itself.